Want to make your money work harder? Enjoy another video with Adam Kahn, the rational investor on stocks, real estate, and crypto. Subscribe now for your weekly dose of investment insights and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Hello, my YouTube friends, and happy Wednesday. Thanksgiving Eve, as one of the young ladies in my office would probably call it. I hope you're all doing well. I really hope you're all enjoying time with family. Um, Before I get into the portfolio, I'm going to get a little off topic because today's my son's 14th birthday, and I can't tell you how proud I am of him, so I'll probably ramble a bit about it. You know, my memory, I remember when we were in the hospital and the day we had him. I have these amalgams or whatever they're called of, the visions of my memory of what was going on and where we were and how things looked. And then the times just holding him as a little baby to be able to watch him grow up. And, 14, it's amazing how he's turning into a man at such a young age. Um, he's such a better student than I ever was. Uh, I find it amazing how he's so into the things that he's into and how different it is from what I was. I mean, I was always math and science and the things that would make sense for getting into finance. And he loves history, and to the point where he'll make an appointment to chat with his history teacher before school. And I don't even know if it's to do better in the class or just because he loves it so much. I mean, we thought of even doing podcasts on Spotify because he found this assignment he was given last year, so much fun, where he kind of made a fake time machine and we helped, and he went back in time to interview like Genghis Khan and these others, and we did voices. And it's super cool watching all of that and seeing how good he's doing. And I can't tell you how proud I am of him. I partially talk about it here because, like I said, I really do these videos for me. And maybe I get lucky and somehow it pops up on his screen and he watches it a little bit and gets to listen about me ramble about how much I love him and how much I've really been proud to be his dad. And, you know, we have such a good kid. I couldn't be any luckier. And then here we've come out to my wife's family to visit for the holidays. We're in Mountain View, where some of them live, and he's spending time with grandma and grandpa, and he has such a special bond with grandpa that's really nice to see. And just the welcoming and how their family is with me. And maybe I'll post a little picture in the picture if I like. I'll try to do it right where my finger's pointing. I'm so bad at technology. But yesterday my wife and her mom made homemade dumplings, which are just, they're so good. I can't even tell you, like, the restaurants have nothing on them. We joke I owned a restaurant years ago, but I don't really want to be in the restaurant business again. But if I was, those dumplings would for sure be something that would move pretty easily. um, Anyway, though, I do want to talk about what I've done with my portfolio. I've been doing what I've intended to do, and not with the one that I went over the other day that's in the safe deposit box that I shared the percentages of each of the positions I have. Now, I hope you guys appreciate that, and I'm not being a wise ass or trying to say anything the wrong way, but I tend to be even though I come on YouTube and I chat and do my thing, I tend to be a pretty quiet, secretive person. So for me, that was really sharing. Even though I really just talked about percentages, I tend not to open up about finances or things like that, except for a very few people who I chat with. But in the trading account, what I've started to do is really hyper focus on the stocks that I think are the best of the best in preparation for next year, because my goal is just to stick with those. I've stayed with Boeing, which I know some of you hate, but I really think it's a great company. That the bad news is finally, going to disappear and nobody's really going to talk about it for a while. I even noticed that quietly they picked up a rather large government contract, and half of what went through my head is, geez, I wonder if in the background the government was pushing them to make a resolution on the strike because they knew they would make it up in some form by giving them a new contract. It's kind of like, I just don't see Boeing ending up in the position where they get put out of business, and they'll be able to generate a lot of revenues, not just from selling the airplanes, but by the maintenance agreements and everything else that they have to be able to keep up on them. So I just see it as a good opportunity to get into a great name when it's probably really highly discounted. But then I really wanted to hyper focus on Amazon, Google, and Meta as well. So those are the only four right now that I have in my trading account. And I've really put on a nice big position on them. On top of I have them in my set it and forget it account. Google partially are for the same reason as Boeing. They've had some bad press with the Department of Justice. This thing about Chrome and what they're going to have to do is probably going to play out for a few years. It's not just going to end next week. And I think that's putting a weight on the stock price, making it discounted when it was probably the most fairly priced of the Magnificent Seven already when this started to happen. I think being able to pick it up under $170 a share is a great opportunity. And if it gets below 160 or something, that's probably even a better opportunity. Google is a great company that's got so many ancillary businesses. You guys are watching me on Google, which is YouTube. If they end up splitting up the company into actual different pieces, I see that actually releasing a lot of equity in terms of the other companies being able to just grow on their own. I still love that they're all encompassed under the one company. I guess it's Alphabet, not Google, because I guess that gives them an opportunity to work with each other and really utilize, as Gemini gets better, Gemini's ability to help with the advertisements on YouTube and to help people find what they're looking for on Google as well. So I just think there's an opportunity with Google where they're going to continue to grow. And despite ChatGPT and the others and the fear out there, what I think sometimes people miss is there's a real value to just the name Google. When I tell my son or my wife or whoever to look it up on the internet, I generally say, well, go look on Google. To me, that's the equivalent of what Kleenex is. You know, people don't think of it as a tissue all the time. They think of it as a Kleenex, at least the way I grew up. I think of a search online as a Google search, and I think that'll transition into the competition having a tougher and tougher time, which I understand the Department of Justice has an issue with that, but I'll get into why I don't in a minute. But it creates that name balance that people are going to continue to go towards Google and not use the competition because they don't think of it as an internet search. It's go online and search Google. Now, what I don't like about the Department of Justice and them going after Google, and to be honest, if they end up going after Amazon or Meta or some of the others, I'm not real thrilled about that either, is the concept between monopoly laws. Is when a company starts taking up all the competition and the goal to price gouge and rip off the consumer. I don't see that being the case as these companies have continued to grow. As they've continued to grow, they've made our world better and they don't gouge us because, especially with Google, the searching is free. If they're charging the advertisers, they're charging the advertisers, and I'm not really sure they're gouging there either. And as I've watched Amazon continue to grow, they've brought us prices for a lower price. As they continue to grow, the prices get better and better, and they're almost just a third party for a lot of people where they're able to sell their goods beyond the web services and Prime and the other things that they're doing as well. But they haven't used it as an opportunity to rip us off. So I think there's been this loss of like understanding of what those laws were made for and just this simple attitude of they're getting too big and it's not fair. Well, what does that really mean? And why is it not fair? Like, who are they trying to protect? What are they trying to compete against? To me, I'd rather Google be the automated search engine that comes up when I get something because I like their search engine. If I wanted to go to Bing or something else, there's no problem with me putting it in the search and going to that site. Same with Amazon. I use them because they do a great business. Are they going to start penalizing them because they feel like it's not fair to Walmart and Target and the others? If they do, and they're continuing to make things less expensive for us, that just seems silly. I don't know if they see some threat as these companies get bigger, but I really do think that they're overstepping at this point, and taking Chrome and trying to sell that off is just kind of silly. So that's my 2 cents on all of that. Now, as I've gotten much more pointy in my trading account, it's kind of like taking a part out of Warren Buffett or Bill Ackman's playbook. My thought is, I'm not going to really beat the S&P or the Nasdaq unless I really hyper focus on a few stocks instead of spreading out because I like this one and I like that one. I think these are the best companies. I also don't think they're going to be the ones that are going to, have a 200% return in a short amount of time. I do think you have to take more risk than the ones I've picked. Maybe I get lucky with Boeing simply because of the analysis of that it's so undervalued right now. But I don't see Amazon being any steal of the century or Meta for that matter at this point, but I think they'll continue to outperform. And my general philosophy of I think if you stick with the best companies and give them the time, they tend to beat earnings and they tend to do better. So they move at a better pace than the rest of the market. If I was really looking to crush it, I would pick some smaller company that nobody really pays attention to that I think has potential to do incredibly well. Maybe Oklo is that one, but I don't want that kind of risk because at this stage of my life, at least for me, there's just no reason to take those kind of chances anymore. Now, keep in mind my little disclaimer. Please don't listen to me. Just use the information I share as entertainment purposes only. If you're buying something for your own financial decisions or selling something, please do your own research and reach out to a financial advisor and not use my information, or for that matter, anyone else on YouTube who is not your actual financial advisor, who's not licensed, and who doesn't know how to protect you as well. And also keep in mind when I talk about this stuff, I know the risks that I'm comfortable with. It's not fair for you to do the trades that I put on and just assume they'll do well because they work or don't work for me. I even talked about how Target's gone against me in the set it and forget it account, and I've had some others as well as NextEra Energy Partners, and I'm okay with the losses that I've taken. But I would feel really badly if you guys were putting on those trades, having losses and getting upset with me. Now, back to what I started with my son and my family and fortunate and everything else. This all intertwines with why I don't like the gloom and doomers. We are so fortunate to have the time that we have, and to spend all the time being negative, whether it's with the markets or our lives or the government or our bosses, is just wasted time with negativity when there's all the time in the world to try to make what's best of the situations we have. I don't mean to sound corny, I really don't. But if you just twist it around, you can look at anything either negatively or positively or however you want, and just see what's great about the things you have in your life, and learn how to make the best out of it, to not complain that the government's ruining your chances because there's so many opportunities and ability to grow, whether it's financially or with your family and friends. And don't listen to those guys who are giving advice not to save, not to buy houses, not to buy stocks, not to buy investments. And then half the time they say, but if you happen to be buying a house, contact me because I can help you get it. It just seems counterintuitive. And the sales pitch to scare people out of saving and making their lives better is just crazy. I'm sorry if you're in a position that you don't see an ability to get in a spot to save. But Ari Gutman did an interview that I watched yesterday, Monday, with this woman who came to the US with nothing, ended up with over $100,000 in student debt, and has managed to pay that off and start saving in a really short amount of time. And I hope it inspires people to see that they can do it as well. Now, maybe she had a higher paying job when she got through all of her education, but to be fair, when I got out of school, I worked two jobs, and this isn't do what but there is a way if you set it and you aim for it and you do what you want to do to get there. She said there's a whole community for people who are in debt about helping each other in terms of advice to get out of it. But cut your expenses, take a roommate, share apartments, whatever it is you need to do so that money goes into the pocket and continues to grow so that you can continue to pay debt down and start investing. And it really doesn't take much. If you start with $10 or $20 every week or every month and just get in the habit of saving and putting away, you'll really thank yourself when you get older. I really believe that. as opposed to if you sit there complaining that life's not fair and the government is doing this and cheating me and my boss doesn't pay me enough and I work too many hours and live paycheck to paycheck. I think you're really going to regret it as you get older and recognize that Social Security probably isn't enough to pay the bills and help you survive the way you'd like to. Anyway, enough of being on my soapbox. I love Boeing, I love Amazon, I love Meta, and I also love Google. I think they're all great investments. I think there are a lot of other great investments, so I don't want to say those are the only four out there, but at least for now in my account, that's what I'm hyper focusing on to aim for 2025 because I think they're going to have another good year. I don't see a big correction. Trump is going to really do a job to try to make sure that he helps the markets grow. You know, that's a big thing on his agenda, is my guess. They announced that they're going to put 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, and another potentially 10% on China. Be interested to see how all that plays out, if it can help with our deficit. I'm really interested to see if they really make Bitcoin part of the reserve currency. They've even thrown out a number of they might try to collect 100 coins, which maybe they, or I'm sorry, a million coins, which maybe they do, because when I think about it, it's a little more than 5% of the float. And if they did that, it would give them an ability to actually be able to control the market a bit, which might be their goal. I also think if it actually pushes the price of Bitcoin higher, if they wanted to, that's a way to dig into the debt that we have. And pretty cool to watch it happen. You know, it's hard for me to wrap my brain around exactly what Bitcoin is, but I do think that Michael Saylor makes a lot of good sense when he talks about some of it. And I think in some realms it's worth the risk to have a little of it just because if it becomes anything about what people think it'll be, it will continue to run for the next 3 to 10 years. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But if it does, it's going to have a monstrous run, much bigger than people even can fathom, even though it's already had a monstrous run. At least that's my theory on it. I wouldn't go hog wild like some of the people who put all their money in it, which great for them that it's worked out so well so far, and potentially maybe it does in the future as well. I just say it because it's such a volatile market. The ups and downs can be really emotional about it. So you have to have little in there that you're not too concerned, at least my thoughts. So I'm going to give a real shout out to this week's sponsor again, which as you guys have gotten used to, or this video sponsor, not this week, which is my wife. Thank you for marrying me and sticking with me all these years and giving me the great life that I've had. Sorry for being so sappy in the video, but you know, like I said, since it's his birthday, it just has me reminiscing a bit. I also noticed that one of the guys who watches the channel from time to time, he collects baseball cards, and little shout out to Dan a bit. I used to collect baseball cards and stuff and still sort of do. And I'll tell you from my experience, I've over the years done the same thing with cards that I've been trying to do with stocks. And I've stopped worrying about owning the next greatest one. And I've really focused my collection around owning the best, what I consider the best of the best, especially in baseball cards and basketball and everything else. Because to me, it's much easier to know what that is. So in hockey, to me, it's Wayne Gretzky. And in baseball, it's the ones like Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle. I know they're older stuff and expensive, but you know, in basketball, it's super easy. It's Michael Jordan, so I've really hyper focused on Michael Jordan. Um, and then I've just stuck with them and putting more and more into the best players because I really look at it as a financial investment and not me enjoying the players who I love. Otherwise, I'd have a big collection of Dave Winfield. And quite honestly, I don't think I have any of his cards. I primarily have Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, um, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, because I think since it looks like I thought I saw that somebody's, was it him that they're challenging the home run record? Oh no, somebody's challenging Wayne Gretzky's goals. See how little I keep up with sports at this point? But same concept of if I just stick with the best of the best of what's already established, it should outperform the market. There will be those Palantirs in there and those ones that really fly and do incredibly well. But what I've noticed, so in the baseball card and basketball card market, those guys fly and then they fizzle out and probably reverse and end up being less expensive than they ever were, where people all over the globe know who Michael Jordan is. So if I put all my money into the top rookie of Michael Jordan, I think he'll continue to outperform. I even did it with Pokemon when my son was little because, he and his friends, well, mainly his friends, were looking at the Pokemon cards, and I noticed there was this one that's the Charizard. I know nothing about this stuff, so forgive me, but the Charizard, the original one, seemed to have the most value. I'm trying to really hyper focus on the things that are the best of the best, whether it's in my stock investments, whether it's in baseball cards, and if I did more real estate, which I don't really think I will because it's a huge pain in the butt and I don't really want to be a landlord. I'd rather just invest in stocks and buy a REIT if I want to be in real estate. But if I did it in real estate, I would do for the same thing and just want to focus on the best of the best. I find that over time, if you just let it work and do what it's supposed to do, it'll do better than the entirety of the rest. It may not be the best performing thing this year or that year or whenever, but if you give it the 10 years, I'm guessing they do better than the other things. Anyway, my two cents of advice for today's video. Happy Thanksgiving again. I hope you're spending time with family. I'm going to go finish, take 10 minutes and edit this, maybe 20, and then I'm going to go hang out. And I think we're going to really into Japan stuff. So we're going to this little area that has some manga comic books. Sorry, I'm just learning about that stuff too. And it's like this whole area that has little niche stores or that have a lot of Japanese stuff that he's really into. And we're hoping to go this summer again, which would be super cool. Anyway, if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, smash that like button, make some comments. Let me know the stocks that you guys are going to hyper focus in for 2025. Do you have a certain group of 2 or 3 stocks that you're really going to push? Or are you doing a little bit more of an ETF? Or are you doing more of like, I'd rather have a little bit in 50 stocks because I just want to perform what the market does? Let me know your thoughts on all of that and what you guys are doing. Have a great day.